that is a wrap on the 2019 Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. So today we're just going to be going very briefly through Q1, Q2, Q3, and the qualifying session comprehensively as a whole. Just a little bit of extra commentary and analysis. Even if you caught the session, I'll be talking about some things maybe they didn't say, but if you missed all the entire free practice and qualifying session, this should do it for you. And we'll try to keep it brief and short, and we'll talk about maybe some expectations tomorrow. But let me know in the comment section, is there anything that you think you look forward to? Is there anything you think I missed? Is there anything that you would challenge me on? Let's just, I just want to give you a spot and a place to really talk F1 and give your true opinion. So let's get straight into it. Charles Leclerc with his third ever career pole, so congrats to him. And Ferrari is just one shy of Mercedes' record on front row lockouts, so they'll probably want to even the score when they go to Monza next week. But really good weekend for Ferrari overall, going 1-2 with Leclerc obviously getting pole, but you got Vettel just behind him, and actually Vettel, and I might even link over to my reaction video because I'm gonna start doing the reaction videos. He had a purple sector in sector 1, I believe, on his flying lap in the shootout. So Vettel had a shot. He was in the race, and then he gave up some time through the other two sectors, and he actually had a lockup that just it did cost him the pole position, which, in my opinion, he would have had. So just because Leclerc took over here, he had some traffic, Vettel that is. So, but everyone's got traffic. That's not an excuse. Leclerc at the end of the day just had a great drive. So Leclerc and Vettel in 1-2. Vettel ran a 143.267. Leclerc took pole with a 142, dipped into the 142s, 519. You had Lewis in third, 143.282. Valtteri in fourth with a 143.415, and then you had Max at a 143.690. So the thing of note here is, despite the Mercedes going 3-4, they actually ran the most laps too. So keep that in mind. It took them the most amount of laps to get these times, and Valtteri was pretty quiet, actually, to be honest with you, and Lewis obviously was not quiet. He had the wreck and came back from as anticipated, but this is going to be a very good race, and I think this will come down to, honestly, if I had to say it, it's going to come down to whatever James ends up doing with Lewis, because you think back to Hungary. This is one of those strategy races where Lewis and Valtteri even have the better, in my opinion, you can disagree, the better race pace car, but you've got the Ferraris are looking very good, and keep in mind 2 of the engines have already gone pop for Mercedes. You had Robert Kubica in the Williams actually driving the Mercedes, and his engine actually blew up too. So you've got 2 Mercedes engine, you've got 1 Ferrari engine. I think that actually Sebastian's going to win this race. I think it'll definitely be a 1-2 though. And I think if it doesn't end up with a 1-2 to the Ferraris, then it'll be Lewis actually just making a very good strategic race. So it'll either be the 1-2 with Ferrari, or it'll actually be Lewis kind of sneaking in there and taking the victory. But I think Valtteri may even get split by Max, so I could see that. But we'll see how he actually turns out. I didn't expect him to be so quiet. He ran obviously good qualifying sessions, good races, and good lap times. But he didn't really wow everyone. He didn't really seem like he, was really going to take it to Ferrari. So that's kind of where my position on Valtteri comes into play. So let's finish out that third row. So you've got Daniel Ricciardo starting with Max. So that's an incredible 6-7. Nico Hulkenburg in 7th. That's an incredible day for Renault. And I think that this is exactly, you think about it, this is exactly what Hulkenburg needed. He is going to have to finish in the points. And you really hope he does. He's a great driver, and he needs to drive next year. So let's just hope he continues that form and maybe can pick off Daniel Ricciardo. I think that'll be tough, considering, Daniel's a really good, he's a master of overtaking. So that'll be interesting to see their strategy, knowing that they can't have 2 winning strategies. So we'll see what they do. I have no idea. I didn't really, it's Gunther on the pit wall. We didn't get really any indication about what Renault is going to actually end up doing, but they're running about the same amount of laps. You've got Daniel Ricciardo running 17 laps to get a 144.257. Hulkenberg is pretty comfortably behind him at a 144.542, and he ran 16 laps. So just keep that in mind. They can't have 2 race-winning strategies. Kimi silently, the master of injuries, overcoming the injuries. So he came in questionable, had Marcus Ericsson fly out and flew right back home. So he's fine, but he is in the 8th position, and he ran a 1:44.557. Sergio Perez in 9th, and Kevin Magnussen in 10th. So Sergio Perez went back to the previous spec engine, still came in 9th. He looks very good, and Sergio's coming off his contact extension. So Sergio is looking very strong. He's been consistently there, and Lance Stroll even was looking pretty good. But that's how we're going to start tomorrow, and let's just get into a couple of the insights through the qualifying sessions. So we talked about Giovinazzi's issues, and Kibitsu's issues, but let's look at Q1. So in Q1, the elimination, you had Gasly, Carlos Sainz, Kvyat, Russell, and Kubica. And because the session was red flag, Kubica caught a lot of people out, notably Carlos Sainz, who, that's what happens when you wait a little bit later. You run the risk of getting caught out. You think about what happened in Canada. The same thing kind of happened to Max. So it's unfortunate. It's unlucky. But Carlos Sainz, he was upset, of course, but he wasn't too upset. This wasn't going to really be McLaren's race anyway, and that really came through in the interview. So the Q2 session ended with Charles Leclerc in first at a 1:42.938. Vettel was just behind him at plus 0.099, and then Hamilton actually rounded that out with Valtteri actually comfortably behind Hamilton in Q2, and Verstappen still in 5th. So eliminated from there was Grosjean, Norris, Kvyat, Stroll, and Albon, and they weren't eliminated by much at all, which I know that's a blow to Grosjean, and Norris spoke about it too, but that's the way it goes. So that was how Q2 rounded out, and then in Q3 we already went through the updates and how it's actually going to start. But that's, like I said, that's 63 front row lockouts, and it really is overall. It really was a strong day for Ferrari and Renault. Only 19 of the past 51 pole sitters have actually turned around and won the Belgian Grand Prix. So, not to say that having a car length isn't important here, but it's the place where if you don't got it, you can still overcome, which I think is why this will make a very interesting race for tomorrow between the Ferrari teammates, and they're gonna have to let them race. There's no team orders here, so again, similar to the situation at Renault, you can't both be on a race-winning strategy. So let's see what happens, but I do think that's why this will either be a Vettel win, or the fiefdom within the team will allow Hamilton to actually take the lead here. I'm kind of going to bet on James. So that's kind of the reason for why I think that this will turn out the way it is, but it turn out the way I think it will tomorrow. But yeah, it'll be really interesting, and a really long race, plus 4 miles at Spa, so a lot of overtaking spots and some really long turns even. So tomorrow's going to be a great race. Check out the channel tomorrow for the coverage of the race itself, and go ahead and give us a follow on the YouTube channel, and I appreciate all the support and looking forward to giving you guys more content. Thanks, guys.